Welcome back, everybody. I hope your Saturday is going brilliantly. I just tried. I told the members this, but I tried to do a show yesterday by myself without the boys, and it failed. I need them here. Otherwise, I just feel very psychotic talking to myself alone in a room. So we're back, though, and so much to catch up on. Let's start with this, specifically on the topic of medical. Bobby and Trump in a cabinet meeting. And I thought that we weren't going to have to go through the trauma again after COVID of Trump sitting at these press conferences in front of the world and he'll even admit, I'm not a doctor. What the hell do I know? And then make all these bold assertions that are going to have a huge effect on people's perception of different medical issues. So we'll get to Bobby just out of control here in a second and some viral moments that were insane. But first, here's Trump with his obsession that too much liquid is going in these vaccines.
So think of that, 1 in 20,000, and now it's 1 in 12 for boys, 1 in 18, 19 for girls. So obviously there's something that's artificially, I think, induced, something, whether it's the vaccines in terms of these massive vaccines that are twice the size of a jar like that, of a glass of water like that, into a baby's body. And I've suggested get them in doses, get them in, maybe 20%, 30%, but smaller, not such a big. I think, that. Then we had certain recommendations, the MMR, take them separately.
He asserts that I wish I had brought a jar in, but 2 jars of liquid is being vaccinated into babies. And they just start like floating. That's how you treat them or teach them how to float in pools. So a doctor responded saying false. The volume of fluid in a vaccine is 0.3 to 1 milliliter. Let's say that kids get 50 doses of vaccines in 18 years, max 50 milliliters in 18 years. It's 2.7 milliliters per year. So this is the max. That's 60 drops of water a year, 15% of a soda can per year. Please have someone other than RFK Jr. Brief POTUS on that, but this is just a very strange fixation of Trump's that we've heard now for a while.
I think we know what that is.
Are you planning to announce any link between vaccines and autism?
Vaccines are very interesting. They can be great, but when you put the wrong stuff in them, and children get these massive vaccines like you'd give to a horse.
Has he ever seen... Well, first of all, has he ever seen a horse get a vaccine? And the size. And then, I've said this before, but can you really picture Trump ever, a single time, sitting in a doctor's office with Eric Trump or Don Jr., holding their hand? It's going to be okay. Then you'll get the fun little sticker, the little frogs, or not the sticker, the Band-Aid, the little frogs Band-Aid. I remember they would send us home with fun stickers, and we'll go get Chick-fil-A after.
McDonald's cheeseburger.
We'll go get a McDonald's cheese. You think Trump ever did that with his children? What does he know? And where does this come from? He says they're very interesting unless you put the wrong things in them. Yeah. We're not vaccinating with Diet Coke, unlike you. This was such an insane, and again, we have to get to the most insane parts, but that was an insane press conference that news outlets were struggling to figure out even how to properly cover them like this. How many false claims did Trump pack into his 4-minute vaccine rant at cabinet meeting? A world record, and they just had to annotate each one of these statements. But the annotations sometimes had to be longer than the statements themselves. Look at this. This is fact-checking a very short address on these topics. Scary stuff. And then Bobby jumps in and, as if to say, Trump, hold my jar of vaccines. Let me go a little crazier.
There's many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that showed children who were circumcised early.
because I know you're going to want to see the rest of this clip, I'll pause it now to say, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. It is free, but it supports the work that we do, including talking about RFK Jr.'s circumcision rants.
That show children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. And it's highly likely because they're given Tylenol. So, none of this is dispositive. There's other.
He immediately goes, none of this is positive. But we're gonna make the proof, was something he said later. Now I'll show you a doctor responding to that, because of course he's just spraying all over the place misinformation. But Matthew Gertz responded that this is circumstantial evidence at best. Yeah. So, to our members who were disappointed yesterday that we didn't do a show, please imagine me alone in a room trying to read that tweet. Please imagine how that would go. Circumstantial evidence at best. That's what it was. And I turned off the camera afterwards. So here's a doctor weighing in here on CNN.
Adolescent medicine at Massachusetts General Brigham for children. And I appreciate your time, doctor. Thank you so much. So are you aware, claims like this get made and they can be really scary for people. Obviously, most people circumcise their children. Are you aware of any studies or evidence to back up Secretary Kennedy linking circumcisions to autism?
And again, he was doing it. He got mad at people and he went, I wasn't saying circumcision. I was saying because then they use Tylenol. I'm reasonable. And he'll tell us a story about a mom gobbling down Tylenol here in a second, but...
Right. Well, this conversation that has been really sort of erupted today has prompted a lot of us to take a look at the data and just make sure that we're not missing something. It is very clear. I've looked at the two studies that the secretary mentioned. It is very clear that there is not a strong evidence base that links circumcision to autism. And when I look at those studies, there's a lot of methodological concerns. But pediatricians actually recommend circumcision as something that families might choose because the benefits outweigh the risks. And this discussion today doesn't change how we think about that.
There it is. And then we get to probably the most viral part of this off the rails conversation where Bobby says he saw a TikTok. They let Bobby on TikTok and it went horribly wrong.
And it was a profound success. It will affect every American for 100 years. And you should be getting bipartisan accolades on that. I'll say one other thing about Tylenol, only because of this. This morning before I came in here, somebody showed me a TikTok video of a pregnant...
As he says this next part, watch over here on the left of the screen, Linda McMahon's face.
Woman at 8 months pregnant. She is an associate professor at the Columbia Medical School, and she is saying F Trump and gobbling Tylenol with her baby in her placenta. And the level of Trump.
So he says that he saw a video of a mom gobbling down. I love that. It's like Trump talking about whales munching their way through the ocean. And mom was gobbling down just gobs of Tylenol while her baby was in her placenta. I know more than you about placentas, Luke. I ate my own after I came out of my mom's butt. What? Her butt. Obviously, that's not where the baby is. Next to, connected to, even, in. I saw someone say, if the mother is taking Tylenol is the least of concern if her baby wound up in the placenta. She has bigger problems than the Tylenol. I love it. I mean, I hate it. This is so scary. What? How is he supposed to know? Trump's over here talking about horse vaccines for babies and huge jars of vaccines, and they're injecting Diet Coke into the kids. And then Bobby's over here fantasizing about placentas in places they shouldn't be. And then we have, I'll just play this little soundbite. Listen to this.
Not a proof. We're doing the studies to make the proof.
That's not why you do studies. We're going to do the studies to make the proof to confirm whatever it is that we already want to believe. But then again, Trump will just admit exactly why he shouldn't be doing these impromptu brainstorming sessions with the brainstorming sessions are between Trump, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Kennedy's brainworm.
I mean, there's something there. There's something going on, and we have to address it. And so I'm addressing it the best I can as a non-doctor, but I'm a man of common sense.
No. We saw how this... It's not like we haven't seen this movie before. We saw it. We lived it. And then Americans have like a fetish for self-harm, and so they pick Trump again to do it to us again, despite us already seeing how this movie goes.
No one other than President Trump could have achieved the peace.
Oh, I thought that was a new soundbite. I was like, where's this going, Cole? Kind of a long one. Sorry, that was my fault. But look at how happy I am. I miss you guys. Just one day, and I feel like I haven't seen them in forever. We saw Trump going out and saying maybe we deal with COVID with UV lights and disinfectant and UV butt plugs and all that. Maybe that's how it didn't work. We were horrific in our handling, or Trump's handling of the pandemic. And that was the model, was going out and just kind of, I don't know, maybe we could I'm not a doctor, but this would be it. We should get medical doctors on this. Have that conversation behind the scenes. You don't just take that out and just spread it all over the place, because we're already seeing the effects of skepticism in places it shouldn't be, and people not protecting themselves like they should. Now, as this is all going on, Hegseth made this wildly controversial announcement about Qatar.
Already been delivered, but as that's formally signed as well. And I'm also proud that today we're signing a letter of acceptance to build a Qatari Emiri Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho. The location will be host a contingent of Qatari F-15s and pilots to enhance our combined training, increase lethality, interoperability. It's just another example of our partnership. And I hope you know, Your Excellency, that you...
And if Qatar comes to this new airbase with a single Qatari pilot who's a dude in a dress, we're gonna have a problem. We're canceling the project. When he said lethality, I was like, are we about to go there? And no, Mr. Qatar, no political correctness. I was waiting for him to get into that rant. Interestingly, as Brian Tyler Cohen pointed out, the tune has changed a lot from the Trump administration. Now we're doing something highly unusual. We don't really have foreign countries' military installations in the U.S. We have ours elsewhere. Woo! But they don't have theirs here. And now Qatar, who Trump was just recently saying this about.
The nation of Qatar, unfortunately, has historically been a funder of terrorism at a very high level. And in the wake of that conference, nations came together and spoke to me.
So, interesting change in tune. I'm for diplomatic relationships, however we can facilitate them, if they're productive and in America's interest. Is it really strange that, Trump, remember, it is Qatar that was the one who gave the big jumbo jet to Trump, and then struck a huge luxury resort golf deal with Trump. And then all of a sudden they get this unprecedented thing. Now, that was the announcement. There was quickly a little bit of a walk back that, no, it's not like their military base. It's just, we're going to work together and it'll be in whatever. Pentagon Pete backtracks after Qatari Air Base confusion. He said, important clarification. The U.S. military's longstanding partnership with Qatar, including today's announcement, cooperation. So it's more of they're not going to have their own base. or anything like a base. We'll control it, but then there'll be cooperation with them and their aircrafts or something. But this led to Trump's most hardcore supporter, Laura Loomer, saying, I don't think I'll be voting in 2026. Pretty stunning. Pretty stunning stuff indeed. Then we go back to the press conference, off the topic, luckily, of vaccines to this.
As a primary, but literally when you see it colored in, the entire country is red representing Republicans. So, they go around, they just lie. And everything's a big lie with them. Well, the other side, and the other thing I don't understand is, Christie, I looked at crime numbers in Chicago. They're through the roof, and I have a governor who stands up every day and tells us how wonderful Chicago is. It's just a lie. It's like a con job. It's like Gavin Newsom. He says how well he's doing in California, and they're doing terribly. Population's getting smaller, people are leaving, and other people are coming in, and, I wouldn't say it's an even trade.
What did he... Again, with his math, what is he saying there? Other people are coming in, but the worst people to California? Anyways, I did just want to pull that because there was a period of time during the pandemic era where California was losing population. That became a big talking point about its failure. Just so you know, we're back to, as the Newsom press account responded, 2 years of population growth. The Golden State has seen back-to-back years of population growth, even though obviously it has so many people. So you understand, especially during the pandemic, people were it caused a little bit of movement from different parts of the country to others, and there was a little bit of a shift, but it is back to growing. And I saw someone, this is crazy, during this press conference, take this photo where literally, I can't zoom. Could you zoom in anymore, Jaded? Where it literally looks like Trump has horns, like devil horns. Look at that. Wow. There's something biblical going on there. No, that's not significant to me, but I can imagine if that were a Biden photo, MAGA would have gone crazy given what they did whenever Biden just used red lights behind him, which you'll remember is one of the colors in our flag, but that was proof that he was Hitler. And then you have the Oklahoma governor about Trump deploying the military anywhere he so chooses, despite the objections of local leaders. And this is Kevin Stitt. And he said Oklahomans would lose their mind if Pritzker in Illinois sent troops down to Oklahoma during the Biden administration. We believe in the federalist system that states' rights. Hey, good. That's so true. Thank you. It's interesting how this makes news, though, that the party that was always about states' rights is almost zipped lips on states' rights now. And it's this major event when a Republican governor goes, I think, given that red states on a state-by-state basis have a worse problem with violent crime, if Biden used that to justify against our objections, like what Trump's trying to do, the California National Guard being sent into Oregon, if he got a different state's National Guard to send into Oklahoma, you'd have the biggest backlash ever. Speaking of Oregon, you have Kristi Noem saying that they want you to believe that I went there. When I went there, it looked safe and it didn't look like a war zone like Trump has been saying. But that's because they made it look that way just while I was there.
I asked the mayor that himself. He said that Portland was perfectly safe, a beautiful city, no problems. And I said, well, why did you clear the streets for me today then and build out a 4-block radius to make sure I could get in and out of here? And
so that's why your grand entrance onto the top of a building where you were going to look down at the war-ravaged Portland turned out to just be you looking down at a guy dressed in a chicken outfit. That's why. Now, I hate when they do that. They're like, oh, the mayor of Portland said that Portland has no problems and is perfect and doesn't have crime and never experiences any issue. No one's saying that. Of course there's problems, and some of the cities Trump's named do have worse crime problems than many other cities. The question here is one of federal overreach, but even just efficacy-wise, is the systemic solution sending in the military to what keeps happening is escalate and worsen tensions in the areas where they're doing it when it's specifically targeted at protesters. I will note, though, DC has seen, and it also is more under the jurisdiction of the federal government, some positive developments. But when we look at all of the cities in the country which are essentially all of them, that we would want to lower crime, because we always want to do that, this is not the long-term or systemic solution, and it is obviously in the interest of, by Trump, an effort to stoke crises and the imagery of the militarization of all of these different circumstances for his own political gain. And it is funny that she has to say, well, yeah, they made it look safe. The Democrats in the House Homeland Security Committee said, if Portland's so safe, then why is it so safe? Bless her heart. And again, I mean, this is literally the imagery that came of her triumphant appearance in Portland. Staring down the chicken. And frightening stuff, huh? Frightening stuff. Because they're not just saying crime. They're saying that the protests outside of ICE facilities have gotten totally out of control. Local law enforcement can't handle it. And then every time we get videos, it's like a couple dozen people in one block and a guy in a chicken outfit. Benny Johnson was very excited, though. He said that Noam said, hey, guy in the chicken suit, you can do better. Too bad they're uneducated and ill-informed. Noam isn't chicken. Yeah. Look at this. Just really disturbing stuff. Really disturbing stuff. Then you have the reverend, the pastor, who was shot in the head with pepper balls on CNN, reflecting on that experience whenever he was accused of flipping off the ICE agents. Which, does that mean you get to shoot them with pepper balls? And he said he didn't, and he was praying.
Reverend is, quote, what this clip video doesn't show is that these agitators were blocking an ICE vehicle from leaving the federal facility, impeding operations. Over and over again, law enforcement ordered these agitators to move off of federal property so the vehicle could move. Law enforcement verbally warned these agitators that they would use force if they did not move and stop impeding operations. They did not comply. She then accused you of giving ICE agents the middle finger. I wanted to read all of that so that you would have a chance to respond to it.
Thank you, Erin. It's categorically false. There were no ICE vehicles attempting to leave the facility, and I was standing to the side in a gesture of prayer and praying verbally for the ICE officers and those detained inside.
Now, I don't know if he's doing a joke in this next part. It's kind of funny to me, but just to be clear, it seemed completely outrageous shooting him on the top of the head like they did. And he seemed utterly peaceful. So we stand with Reverend David Black, and this is really funny how he sort of like pasteurifies the allegation of giving them the middle finger. Watch this.
I find it interesting that this individual believes I flipped them the bird because theologically, as I've been praying for all of these people, I have been hoping that the Holy Spirit will descend upon them and convert their hearts and minds. And to the extent that the Holy Spirit appears as a bird, perhaps there is spiritual truth to her claim.
Hey, that was good. I like it. That's so good. That does sound a little bit like what I've heard people say when they're completely baked, but officer, maybe when you thought you saw the bird, you saw the spiritual manifestation of Jesus in the form of a phoenix rising. But I love it. Good stuff there. And then, this is right out of an authoritarian, dystopian sort of movie, fictional movie, where on the TVs you have one of Trump's propagandists in the airports being like, the radical left Democrats are coming for you and your family. Not literally, but listen to this.
I'm Christine Ohm, the United States Secretary.
So while you're, we don't have to take off our shoes anymore, but while you're standing in line in security, you're already irritated, you're going to have to see this video.
of Homeland Security. It is TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and efficient airport experience as possible while we keep you safe. However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government, and because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay. We will continue to do all that we can to avoid delays that will impact your travel. And our hope is that Democrats will soon recognize the importance of opening the government.
Nice. So that is a clear, we're hearing no one's supposed to be in this house right now. Why am I hearing someone? Hello?
That might be Cassie dropping some stuff off.
Okay. That just scared me. Yeah, just keep rolling if someone comes in here and tries to rob us. That would be cool. But, hello, Cassie. So that's a Hatch Act violation, as if they care. Politicizing official government messages like that in her official capacity and running their little propaganda. And hey, I've said I am so bored and uninterested in, who shut down the government? It's like, we know why the government shut down. They couldn't agree on funding it, the two sides. But I believe the demands Democrats are making are reasonable. And Republicans could go with the nuclear option, which would be getting rid of the filibuster. So they could technically fund the government if they really wanted to, but then they would have to set that precedent, which I would love, and not having a filibuster in the Senate. Aaron said, can you think of a single movie in which there's a video from the government denouncing its political opponents playing on a loop in public spaces in which the government was the good guy? Yeah, it's one of, it wasn't to the full extent of what I was imagining, but we're getting close. In those movies, the supreme leader has ordered that you can keep your shoes on. We thank him for his masterful decision. Meanwhile, the radical left Democrats hate you and your family. Have a safe flight. Also, there are no air traffic controllers here. Good luck. It does seem pretty frightening, but amid all of that, airports in a state of chaos, which I have a family member going on a very long travel right now. So that's unfortunate and a little bit scary because of the shutdown. And while we have Trump going after his political enemies, federal overreach out the wazoo, Trump screaming about vaccines the size of 2 jars, Kid Rock says he has a different crisis. Those darn blue hair, 5-nose ring wearing college kids.
A lot of faith and hope in the younger generation, but it seems these other people, the more that we say we love our families, we love God, we love our country, these people on the far left hate it more. I just don't understand the rationale of hatred for someone that loves something.
Yeah, they make fun of Lee Greenwood or patriotic music or traditions like that. They think they're hokey and stupid, and because they all think America's awful, rotten, and racist, so they don't think there's anything to celebrate. But
that's a fair characterization of your opponents. I love America, God, and my family more than you could dream of, actually, Kid Rock. That doesn't mean I have to like From the Hey, or whatever the song is that she just referenced. Do I like it? Yeah, I do. But it doesn't mean I have to. That's such a funny way to substantiate the argument. Yeah, they don't even like Lee Greenwood. Gosh, America haters. Ugh. Is that the song Trump goes out to? God bless the USA. Is that the song?
I believe so, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Trump does that on the A. He can't think of US or U or S, but he goes, once I get to that part. And what I hate is, no matter how many times I heard it at all the rallies, and I hated the rallies, and so I wanted to hate the song, and then I would sing along, and I knew more than just the A part.
Speaking of music,
yeah, that's pretty easy. You know what's stupid? You know what's stupid is people who think they're cooler than Art Thou, that worry about their outfit every day, like some of these rock singers that live here in Nashville. I won't say any names, or these chicks running around in their campuses with blue hair and their 5 nose rings.
Speaking of music, though,
That was weird. Did he go on some crazy rant? Watch this. Watch this cut. This is so funny.
Campuses with blue hair and their 5 nose rings.
Speaking of music, though,
Oh, he got a lot more vulgar after that. Speaking of music, that was not a real conversation. They cut that. That's so funny. Yeah, so the blue hair. What? I didn't even hear his point. What did he say?
I won't say any names. Or these, chicks running around in their campuses with blue hair and their 5 nose rings.
Speaking of music, though,
Okay. You can't. He's acting like he doesn't like the style of other people or something. Dude. He went in the Oval Office with this on. Kid Rock. I would like these folks on Fox News to stop talking so much about college girls and their quote unquote raw material.
You're like a 9.8, 9.9. You're kind of like an 8. And I go, oh, God, I'm letting the hate come out of my pores. And that's the point I want to make, Charlie, is that you can't be attractive when you have unattractive thoughts. The mind and the body, they kind of intertwine. And that's why you see a lot of the people at these protests, these activists, they have the raw material and they're young, but they look so ugly. I mean,
so Kid Rock is talking about college girls with blue hair and 5 nose rings. And Greg Gutfeld is talking about how hateful Trump derangement syndrome-ridden college girls with raw material, as he does his hands like this, could be beautiful, but they're not because they hate Trump. No, thank you. Please.
It's gross.
Thank you. Thank you. Howard gets it. It is gross. For all Howard has talked about America's meat being more beautiful and how much he loves Trump's farm.
The deep nuance of Howard Lutnick.
I've never heard him talk about the raw material of college girls. So credit to Howard on that.